How may I help you, Dad?
Let's try and make some progress.
All right, we can work on that.
So, how can we get you to the people that you feel safe?
Well, I'm going to take on the entire state of Colorado. Most of my loved ones are in Colorado.
Are there any loved ones in another state that are somewhat close? Close
To
to where you
Montana?
are now?
Well, let me think about that. I got a lot of people in Arizona, but that's quite a ways away. Also, it's a matter of their temperament. One of the people that I know in Arizona is absolutely wonderful. She's got a great temperament.
Okay.
However, I have not met her in person. Another one that I know in Arizona, he's got a terrible temperament, but I've known him for years, and he can take almost as much physical punishment as I can, so if we get into a knockdown drag-out, it ought to be fun. Matter of fact, Eric said Monkey is the only person he knows that can take more physical punishment than I can. Monkey's got a kid, and he's got a wife, and they're willing to take me for a bit. However, I will need to be able to have an income coming in. He told me that possibly California might be a better state as far as getting an income coming in. The problem is I don't really know many people in California, and nearly all the people that I know in California either have a bad temperament or they have substance abuse issues that prevent them from being able to assist me in the way that I need. Colorado is where I'm going. Colorado is where my fight is. Colorado is where people, really, it's ground zero for hell. If you're homeless, Colorado is not the place that you should be. And that's exactly why I'm going there. We need to change the laws so that people like me aren't victimized by the system. That starts with understanding that everything is not my fault.
Okay. Hey, I got a quick question for you.
Go
So
ahead.
when you and I talk, we're just talking, right? You're not ever recording us, right?
I record everything.
Well, why would you do that? Because you and I should be able to talk. So, if you're recording, then it sounds like you want to use some of this stuff and maybe use it against other people, not to everybody's benefit, so you could parse stuff.
Well, the thing is, while I was up there, you let me know that you was spying on my Facebook. Both of them.
How's that? People were calling me and telling me what was going on.
So you got people spying on me.
No, people weren't spying. People were just happened to be friends with some other buddy and bumped across your thing and said that stuff was going on your Facebook that I should know about. So that's what's going on.
Ah.
So Sean, I'm trying to help you, but if you're going to record me and you're going to try and catch me doing something a little bit tiny bit wrong and then try and use that against me, that doesn't sound very right to me. somebody's conversation and parse it and just use part of it, not put everything that's in the context. See,
Except I don't do that. I post up the whole conversation, beginning to end. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So, anyway, how are we going to get you the help that you need? Because you need help.
I'm aware.
Okay? And it goes way beyond anything that I can give you.
Yep, we both agree on that. It goes way beyond anything you're willing to do.
I have been willing to do all kinds of things to try and help you. You and I don't see eye to eye on the help that you need.
Oh no, we definitely see eye to eye on the help that I need. We just don't see eye to eye on understanding. See, I do need mental help.
Yes.
And I've been trying to get mental help. The problem is I need a safe environment. A safe environment requires somebody who understands, or at least makes an attempt to. Which you've shown time and again that you have extreme difficulties with. I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong. When I decided I was going to start going after child molesters and sexual predators, I did something nobody else I know has done. I admitted all of my worst sins on Facebook.
John, here's the deal. Pretty much straight up. Because I think what you're doing is everything that you hate about everybody else. You're trying to trap me, and now you're ready to try and trap. If this will work out somehow to your advantage, to make it look like I'm the bad guy, then I am going to have to tell you that it's time for me to walk away from this. You hurt me so much. I try and help you out, and continuously you find different ways to not want to take my advice or let me help you when you were here to get the help that you needed, and that you're going to possibly just use this all against me, but that's not the truth. There were so many days.
No, you have that right 100%. I am going to use this against you.
Card. It was there for you to use.
That's right, and I needed a safe environment. I needed familiarity.
Your environment couldn't have been any safer.
It wasn't safe.
It was totally safe.
It wasn't. You stood in front of me and prevented me from leaving.
You're going to take a few, Sean, out of all the days that you were here, there were probably 4 days that were really bad. In your mind, every single day was bad. But the reality is that no matter who was here, there was probably 4 days that were bad. And out of the 3 that were bad, out of the 4, those were tolerable and within normal family disputes that people have all the time. There was only the one day when it was super off the chart, and you never brought it back down. And even when you
there you go, blaming it on me.
The next day,
that's the thing. I was just listening to the first video that I recorded.
Sending text to Dana that you wanted to kill yourself. That's a terrible thing to do to her.
That's right.
All the screaming and hollering you were doing outside the door about wanting to kill yourself and so on and so forth. And we called an ambulance to come pick you up. But
you did?
Drove off before they got here.
That is so kind of you.
We had an ambulance on the way to try and get you to the hospital so you could get the help that you need.
See, there you go. You assumed that I was wrong, and you were right. You always do.
You were standing outside the door screaming like a complete maniac.
You're damn right I was. I was fucking trapped. No, see, that's the thing. Is that I did stick around long enough. It's always your turn to speak, I understand. That's the thing. You are going out of your way to try to twist things in a way that they weren't. See, there you go again, with those bad assumptions about what kind of a person that I am. And you could have at any point tried to understand. You didn't. You wanted to scream over me. No, you didn't. You screamed over me. You took other people and had them gang up on me with you. Those days that you think that it was okay, it's because I was quiet. Do you know I was quiet? Because I didn't want to get ganged up on. So I got quiet. I kept my mouth shut so that I wouldn't be verbally abused and ganged up on by you and Diane. How many times did you call me a pussy while I was there? How many times? If I didn't say what you wanted me to say, and if I had an issue with you standing in front of the door and not allowing me, see, there you go again. If it's anything that has to do with any criticism about you, you talk over me. If it has anything to do with anything that you might have done wrong, you don't hear it. It's your way or no way. When we had that argument the day that I left, I wanted to pack my stuff up in peace. You literally yelled at me for 15 minutes straight before I ever raised my voice back at you. So don't try playing this out on me. And if it shook the whole house, then by God, thank goodness. I had to scream over the top of you screaming.
Son, you were so loud. What you were trying to do was actually try and get the police here. I'm surprised there wasn't a neighbor that called.
See, there you go, assuming. I wasn't trying to get the police there. I was getting you to leave me alone. I asked you to leave me alone. I spent 45 minutes screaming at you to leave me alone so I could pack up my things and leave. I left there with a stress headache. And when I came back to your house screaming at fucking butt crack early in the morning, it's because that stress headache had not gone away. That wasn't a decision that I made to have a stress headache. It wasn't a decision that I made for you to not leave me alone while I was packing up my things. It wasn't my choice or my decision for you to stand in my way and talk down to me like a dog and call me a pussy because you wanted to talk over me. That's the point. And yes, I beg everyone to kill me. I need someone who is willing to listen to understand. And all the people that I know like that are in Colorado. That's why I go to Colorado. That's why I stay in Colorado. That's why I fight that battle in Colorado. You going out of your way to make baseless assumptions of what it is that I want or need is fucking stupid. It's dumb. It's ignorant. If you have a nuclear power plant and there's a man who's got 20 years experience in running that nuclear power plant after getting a degree in nuclear engineering, and then you've got Donald Trump who buys the place, who are you going to believe about what's safe in that nuclear power plant? You're going to believe the person who has the experience, and that's not Donald Trump. So instead of talking down to me, maybe you should have listened to my experience. Also, if there is something that you are doing that bugs me, there's a reason that it bugs me, and there's a reason that it makes me feel unsafe and uncomfortable. And when you have something that makes you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, I listen. When I needed you to listen, you talked over me and called me a pussy and stood in front of me. That's not okay. It is never okay to prevent someone from leaving. And that was the issue in Virginia. I left that scenario. Those people should have left me alone after I left Virginia, and they didn't. They chose not to. And when I asked them to call off the dogs, they did not. Now you, having people who are spying on my Facebook, and they just happen to be friends of friends who are watching my stuff, yeah, that's great and terrific, but each one of them videos that I post, it tells me how many people have seen it. Not very many. So, your person who's spying on me is somebody who's keeping a close eye on me.
Sean, I asked you just not to do that in the house. That was a stipulation.
You also knocked on the door 4 times while I was having phone conversations to tell me I better not be making videos.
Sean, I just asked you that this last time. I don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, here's the deal. Go to the best people that can help you out. I hope that you have a wonderful life.
No, you don't.
I apparently cannot do anything to help you, and you're putting me through too much pain and trying to make, for some reason, that the effort that I put forth isn't enough, or not in the proper order, or not the proper temperament. I just can't help you. I wish I could.
Being verbally abusive to someone is not help.
No, it's not, Dad. For God's sake, Sean, I told you.
See, there you go. You're not willing to hear about anything that you might have done wrong because you are the perfect person. There you go. If it's anything having to do with anything that you may have possibly done wrong, you talk over me. That's the difference between you and I, is that I admit when I did wrong, I admit when I did wrong, and I admit all of my sins. I'm not going to lie about you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to anyone else about you. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to go telling people stories of things that did not happen. You being angry at me because the whole house shook, well, that's great that the whole house shook.
That's you. But it's unacceptable behavior to think that you could act anywhere in that type of manner and still be able to live underneath the roof. Correct?
Yelling back at someone who's yelling at me is acceptable. Asking someone to leave me alone instead of yelling at me is acceptable. Telling someone who is preventing me from leaving that they're breaking the law is acceptable. If I'm trying to leave, you do not get to stand in front of me and tell me I'm a pussy.
That's up to you when you want to leave.
You stood in the doorway for 15 minutes.
And stopped you from leaving?
That day you called me a pussy. You damn right you did.
I stopped you from leaving?
You did. You stood in front of me. I asked you to move out of my way and leave me alone. And that wasn't the day we had the major argument. That was before that. And all of the other days that you think that everything was fine and dandy, it was because I was quiet. And I was quiet because you didn't want to hear me. See, there you go. You're not willing to hear anything that is any sort of criticism about the things that you've done, or you talk over me.
Sean, I make plenty of mistakes probably every single day. I'm far from perfect. But I probably fit somewhere about in the average for most dads.
Not even close. You would have had to be a dad in order to make the average for being a dad. Now, if you're talking about the average for being a sperm donor, yeah, you did an alright job.
When I think back on it, my mom was probably just average too. And I was the one that was being over dramatic.
You got to grow up with your mom. You know what my mom has to say about your mom? She says that I got Tourette syndrome because of your mom.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. You got Tourette syndrome because of my mom. Does that change anything?
No. But it doesn't change anything at all.
But if you think that's where it came from,
That's right, it doesn't.
You're the one that has to deal with it.
I am the one who has to deal with it.
Correct.
But the point is that I needed you to understand.
I understand.
As far as
What's
understanding,
not to understand here?
there's a lot to understand. When it comes to autism, you need to listen to somebody who has autism. I have a few people that I know who are parents of autistic children. I would like to give you their phone numbers and have you talk to them.
Sean,
I have the numbers of a few people who are autistic themselves. I would like you to have their numbers and talk to them.
I offered to go to groups and gave you phone numbers to call and see when they had meetings, and that I was willing to go with you.
That's the thing, is that when I'm overwhelmed and you piling 300 new things on me, and yes, literally 300 new things, you
now
had
bring it back. How many new things?
Literally at least 300.
Name off 300.
I'm not going to name off 300. I can't remember all of them.
How about
that's the point, is that I was already overwhelmed with the things that were on my plate.
To probably both of us.
3 of them that were important to both of us?
Both of us.
None of it's important to both of us.
Both of us.
None of it. None of it is important to both of us.
Getting your Medicaid card, was that important to both of us?
No. I did that to make you happy.
Was that not the help that you needed?
I took the help that you said that I needed because you said that you would help me.
It's probably the most important one out of all of them.
It's not, because I dropped everything in Nebraska to do that.
Sean, you can talk to me till I'm blue in the face. It's a therapist that you need to talk to. It's a doctor you need to talk to.
No, it's my loved ones who don't treat me like shit that I need to talk to. People who don't stand in my way and assert their dominance nonstop. This is my house. You will do as I say. No, I'll pack up and leave. I don't have a problem. Between having a confrontation and leaving, I chose to leave. You chose the confrontation. You chose it.
I tried so many different ways to diffuse the confrontation.
Screaming at somebody isn't diffusing it.
But you kept taking it higher and higher and higher. So
I kept asking you to leave me alone.
Is a Medicaid card, was that not a good step where you could go talk to somebody else besides me?
That was a good step.
Okay.
That would have been a good step. It absolutely would have been. But at the same time, if I have to stand in front of you and take verbal abuse and have somebody who is unwilling to admit that they have ever done any wrong, then yeah, no, you're not trying to help me. That's an abusive environment.
There's lots of stuff I'd like to take back and do over again.
Me too.
Okay.
When it all comes down to it, you have to be willing to admit that you have wronged as well.
I have wronged.
And I admitted that I yelled at you. I did. You're trying to place it all on me like I made no effort. The point is...
No, you made a lot of effort, Sean. You made a lot of good effort.
That's very kind of you to say now.
Things were headed in the right direction.
See, that's the thing. They weren't headed in the right direction. At this point, I pretty much need to go see a therapist over the shit that you put me through. The days that you thought it was okay there are the days that I was quiet. And I was quiet because I didn't want to have a confrontation with you. I didn't want to get screamed at. I didn't want to get yelled at. I didn't want to get talked to like I was a dog. I didn't want to be prevented from walking out. That's important things. That's right, and I did.
I don't think you're a dog. But I want you to go be with some people that you feel can help you.
And I'm working on it. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best without any family help. Thank you very much. I accepted the help that you wanted me to go get because you were going to help me with the help that I needed. Instead, I ended up accepting a Jeep that I can't afford and listened to you scream at me until I got quiet. And then it was fine in your mind because I was quiet. And that's not how it works.
If we could have gotten your Social Security benefits reestablished, would that money, with the Jeep that you have now, been enough so that way you could have at least stayed in there and been by yourself and worked through everything that you needed to? There's other places that you can get for an address. You don't need to have somebody's house. You can go to UPS.
I'd have been fine with staying out in the truck. I would have been.
That's got a PO box.
What I'm not fine with is the verbal abuse. I'm not fine with being screamed at. I shouldn't have to scream at somebody in order to be heard. You're unwilling to admit any of the things that you did. You're unwilling to admit those things. That's not my fault. That's not my issue. It is no longer my issue. It would have been great to get my disability going.
So there's no reason for you to all of a sudden start yelling over something.
All of a sudden?
Yeah, all of a sudden, Sean.
You and I screamed at each other for almost an hour. And pretty much the only thing that I was screaming is, leave me alone, go away, leave me alone, go away, leave me alone, go away. That's what I was screaming at you. And if that shook the whole house, that's fine. You had the option of going away. I asked you if you could leave my room long enough for me to pack my things up. You said, this is not your room, this is my room, this is my house. It was a control issue with you. And it's always a control issue with you. You want to be in control. You assume that I'm a retard. You talk to me like I'm a retard. And retards aren't allowed to have any control over their own lives. Retards must be controlled. But I'm not retarded. I have an intelligence quotient of 172. Statistically, there are 204 people in the United States with my intelligence quotient. So maybe it's a good idea to listen to me. The fact that I have an education.
Something that you throw out a good stat like that, and that's probably true. In many areas, you probably are off the chart. There's probably plenty of areas that you're 170, and there's probably areas that you're 50 at. And there's probably areas that I'm over 100 at, and there's probably areas that I'm only 50 at.
I got a 49 in the mechanical comprehension portion of the ASVAB my very first time taking it. That was when I was in high school, and I still scored high enough that if I'd have gotten into the military, I could have been eligible for every single job in the military. At 84, you're eligible to be a nuclear technician. Of course, I had a GED. I didn't realize that I had graduated high school until Tara went over to Mom's house to steal her Social Security card and found out that I'd actually graduated from high school. Mom never told me that part. That's because Mom's a twisted, manipulative bitch.
You got an IQ of 170, and you didn't realize that you graduated from high school?
Well, that's the thing. The credits from Washington State did not transfer to Nebraska. But then, later on, they allowed those over to Nebraska. So, the second time that I had to do my freshman year wasn't a second time through as my freshman year, because they allowed those. And yeah, they sent that shit to Mom's house. They didn't send it to me. You know, I'm the only person in the school that I went to there in Chapel that got less than $3,000 for graduating. And then again, I didn't know I graduated. I didn't walk across the stage. I also, what did I get for graduating high school? Oh yeah, thank you for the pack of M&Ms, Dad.
Whatever. I'm not going to get into this. What I'm going to do is wish you the best. Go be with the people that you feel you're safe with and that you can get along with and everything along those lines. And just take good care of yourself. That's all I want. I just want you to be happy. I don't want you to feel suicidal all the time.
Well, then maybe you should help me with the things that make me suicidal. See, that's the thing. If you have everything in the world that you could ever want and you're still suicidal, you probably need meds and therapy. If you're going through the shit that I'm going through, it's probably the shit that I'm going through that's making me depressed and fucking suicidal. If somebody is going through the situation that I grew up in, I started being suicidal at 6 years old over shit that people were doing to me because my parents were not there. You were not a part of my life. That was not my choice. Mom was barely a part of my life, and most of the time, she wasn't. Getting told for 6 months straight that my mom is going to come see me this weekend while I'm in the temporary foster care system, going 2 weeks per foster home, can't go to the same foster home twice. Yes, that is a fucked up thing to do to a kid. And for somebody who's autistic, it's worse.
Sean, there's more than autistic going on here.
I'm well aware. There's a severe amount of PTSD from the shit that I grew up in. And I needed you guys, as parents, to try to understand as parents. But you didn't.
Sean, I opened my doors again to you. I brought you out here to stay with us, and you attempted that, but there was not one issue. There probably was 100 that was going on with you.
All of them having to do with having to deal with you. I didn't have an issue with Diane until you brought her in because you couldn't win the argument.
The doctors and stayed at the places, and the places tried to help you out. None of us could get it right.
None of you could listen. That thing in PE over the fucking uniform was the stupidest goddamn thing to have an argument about. All you needed to do was call the school like I asked you to.
I did.
And buy, and no, you didn't. You needed to buy that uniform, or you needed to talk to that school fucking PE teacher and explain to him that, hey, I'm not going to buy Sean a uniform. If you're going to flunk him out, that's fine. I flunked out of PE.
Uniform is no big deal.
It was a big deal, and that's the point. It should not have been a big deal. You talked to one PE teacher who said it was all right. I got a different PE teacher who was not all right with it, and he marked me down every day for not suiting up. And you know what? Despite the fact that I had to change out of my clothes into those to get marked negative, I still changed into those black shorts and that white shirt every single day for PE. For him to tell me to go sit down on the bench, I went and sat down on the bench, but I still suited up in those black shorts and that white shirt because that's what you told me to do. And I did what you told me to do.
What was the uniform you were supposed to wear?
I was supposed to wear a school uniform with the school logos, and it was $35.
Okay. I don't know why we're into this story, but...
Because that was the argument we got into that ultimately resulted in me cutting my hair and moving to Nebraska.
Sean, that I would do, not spend $35 to get you a uniform. But you putting on the white shirt and the black pants and telling the teacher that I'm not buying you a uniform, that I can believe.
You know, it sure is pretty out here with all the snow.
Yeah, so anyway, good example, and I'm glad that you think it's that way. Actually, I'm not glad that you think it's that way, but there's absolutely no inkling that you're going to get me to believe that I wouldn't spend $35 to buy a school uniform for you. Absolutely not.
We went rounds about
There's
this.
got to be at least 100 other issues that are just like that PE uniform. And Sean, as much as I'd like to help you,
Dad, I skipped Horticulture 1 and Horticulture 2 and aced Horticulture 3. All right? Because I made the effort. The whole time that I was at Lincoln High School getting harassed and beaten up for being a white boy, I still went and did the things that I needed to do to get my education. I skipped Horticulture 1 and Horticulture 2, and I aced Horticulture 3. There aren't very many people capable of doing that. When I suited up for PE...
about down in Arizona, I think that's the person that you should go and see if she can help you.
Yeah, it'd be nice if I had the money to go there, but I don't. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this Jeep.
I'll send you the money to go there, but in 6 months, that's not gonna work out. You're gonna ask for more money. And then over and over and over and over.
I'm not gonna ask for more money.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Over and over and over.
See, there you go, trying to pretend like you've sent me $1 billion. You haven't.
Bail me out.
When have you ever bailed me out? I want you to tell me one time you bailed me out of jail. One time you bailed me out of jail. If you send me money, I'm using it to go to Colorado and deliver this Jeep to a mother of 5. I can't afford this Jeep.
You sound like you have friends that are willing to send you money, and maybe you'll feel a little bit more obligated to follow through if they send you the money.
I am following through. That's the point. This is a fight that you are not in because you don't want to understand the situation. You want to pretend that every issue that we have ever had is my fault. No, it's the fact that you have your ears turned off. You don't listen to understand. You listen to reply. And your replies are always, Sean, you are wrong. Sean, you are wrong. Sean, you are wrong no matter what. Every argument we ever had is your fault, Sean. And that's the point. When we had that argument over that PE uniform, we had that argument almost every single day. That's not true. I apologize for saying that. We didn't have that argument every single day. We had that argument probably 8 to 10 times before the report card came out. And the reason that we had that argument is because you kept on telling me, Sean, don't lie to me. Your teacher told me that you don't need to buy the uniform, you just have to have black shorts and a white shirt. And I explained to you that I got a different teacher, and you needed to call that teacher and explain that to them. And you didn't want to do that. You wanted to assume that I was in the wrong no matter what. No matter what, Sean is always wrong.
Sean, did you tell me that you needed a uniform?
I did.
Is that what you want to tell me? That you told me that you needed a uniform?
I told you repeatedly that I needed a uniform.
Then I would have bought you a uniform.
No, you argued with me and told me that you already talked to my teacher, and my teacher said that I just needed black shorts and a white shirt.
All right. There's at least 100 of these stories like this, and it could go up to 1,000.
That's right. It could go up to 1,000 times that you talked over me and wouldn't listen to what I had to say because you assumed that I was wrong. I didn't make your assumptions. I tried telling you what was up. Your assumptions are more right than I am. I get that. Is there anything more you want to tell me?
No, just that. Please, go with the nice woman. Don't go with the mean guy. Go with the nice woman. And hopefully when you're there, you'll meet other nice people, and everything will start working out for you. That's what I want you to do. And don't think I'm trying to control you. I'm just trying to offer you some good advice. Have a great night and a great life. Goodbye.
Bye.